as always, please feel free that on our WhatsApp group, you can send some of the previous assignments or other questions that we need to that I can put into the presentation, and we can then work that out as well. Okay, so tonight, just continuing from where we left off, and just going to go through another batch of examples. So again, from previous exams, that was still paper-based, and we will also get some of the assignments that was online. So in this question, what they actually doing is they're doing a combination here. So we normally need to solve some equations, but with this one, they basically link the equation to the measurements as well. So they tell us the length of a rectangle, and let's see what they say, is 3 centimeters less than twice the width. So the length of, so let's say the width is x, so the length is 3 centimeters less than twice the width. So suppose the width is x, give an expression for x in the length of the rectangle. So we have done that now already, so we can look. Okay, so definitely not that one. Also definitely not that one. So those two are always very close to one another, but it is option 2. So they needed to tell us the sentence would have, for option 3, the sentence would have needed to be something like, the length of a rectangle is twice the width minus or then less than 3. So that you know that you need to multiply the x first. Else, as we read it here, it's less than twice the width. Okay. So that is one of the interesting questions that I thought from a previous exam paper was quite good to include in this session. Then we have, and let's just rewrite it a bit that it is more clearer. So then we have this one about, just to simplify the expression. So at the top, we originally have x to the power of 2, x to the power of 3. So if we want to put that together, we can say it's x2 plus 3 over at the bottom x to the power of 5. So at the top, we've got x to the power of 5 divided by x to the power of 5, which will give us 1. Okay, it's very important nearly that how we do this, because if you say 2 times 3, it would have been x6 over x5, which is actually going to be that if it was x6 over x5. So, and this one x6 over 5, have been interesting. I don't know how we would have gotten that, but you can see there's a link nearly between the 2 times 3 to give you 6 and 5 and 6 and 5. But definitely those ones are all wrong, because if you write it out, x2 times x3 is actually x2 plus 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. X5 over x5 is giving us 1. Okay, so they use some of the exponent principles in this one to see if you know how to work it out. Okay, now this is also one of those that I think it's good that we are looking at it. And what I've done, you will see here is a few questions. So we've got a question that we need to work out a few things. Then on that same figure, we need to do other stuff, then some more stuff. So on that, there's nearly 3 questions that we're going to do. So what I normally tell everyone is, you guys need to know 3 things about measurement. So they will always ask you something about the perimeter. They will always ask you something about the area, and they will always ask you something about the volume. And most likely the volume question will always be one that you need to calculate the volume in liters or something like that, and not just in cubic meters or centimeters. So normally the volume one, you need to transform or change it from the cube into the liters or milliliters or something like that. Okay, so let's see question 11. Here they talk about the perimeter, and we can see in our answers it's only meters, so that links back to the perimeter. So a garden is laid out so that it contains a rectangle with a semicircle at each of the shorter ends. The garden contains a square fish pond and then circular planting areas. Each planting area has a diameter of 1 meter. The remainder of a garden is lawn. Calculate the perimeter of a garden. Okay, so the first one, we don't need to worry about the rest. We want to know that is the 2 lengths of the rectangle. That is that part of the half circle. That is that part of the half circle. So that is what we want to find out. So we know, if I look at this, we will have a 10 meter there, a 10 meter there. So that's covering the 2 parts of the length of a rectangle. If I look at these answers and I'm looking at 10 and 10, that's probably going to be a big part of it. So I can't see that now suddenly I will get to 2010 meters. So I'm really looking at these and I'm like, I probably can cancel 2 of them out just because of that size. Even number 1 looks way too big as well, but let's see. Okay, so to work out the perimeter of a semicircle. So normally when we work out the perimeter of a circle, it is 2 pi radius. So to work out the perimeter of a semicircle, it is 2 pi radius divided by 2. But we need to do it on this side as well, and it's the same size. Okay, so let's see. We've got, and I assume that 8 meters means that is 8 meters. So my radius is 4 meters. So then I have 2 pi times 4 divided by 2 on this side, and it will be exactly the same, 2 pi times 4 on the other side. Okay, so if I work that out, then it is pi times radius. So let me get my calculator. Pi is 3,1415 times 4. So on this side, I get 12,57. So that's that perimeter, and it will be the same on the other side, 12,57. So if I say 12,57 times 2 plus 10 plus 10, I get 45. Oof, let me just quickly rewrite that. That now looks terrible. I get 45,13. Okay, I need to round off to the first decimal, so 45,1, and that is equal to option 4. Okay, so from the beginning, one can nearly get nearly a view of this as well. So we could clearly see, because that's 10, that is 8. So we're looking here normally at something just bigger than 10. So it was 12.5, and the same on the other side. So yeah, that's why I nearly said we can eliminate 2 and 3, probably 1 as well, because that just looks too big. But I still showed you guys the process that we need to go through to get it. They love to do the semicircle. It's just amazing to see how many questions they have where they throw in the semicircle. Yeah, so they love to do the semicircle. So let's look at the next one. So the next one, normally then after we've done the perimeter, would be that we need to calculate the area. But now they're asking us calculate the area of the lawn. Okay, so we need to calculate the area of the lawn. So again, first we will need to calculate the area of the lawn, which is the semicircle plus the rectangle plus the semicircle. Then we will need to subtract all of these things that are in the garden that has taken away pieces of the lawn. But let's first do the bigger area to say semicircle. So semicircle is pi radius to the power of 2. So that would have been a circle. So semicircle is half of it. But because there is 2 of them, we can say again, well, it's actually going to be in the end a full circle. So we can say semicircle times 2. And then we also need to work out what is the area of the rectangle, which is length times breadth. Okay, so semicircle, or the 2 semicircles, will be pi again. We worked out that radius is 4, so we can use that, 4 to the power of 2. So we now don't need to recalculate the radius. We know what it is because we used it in the previous one. And then we know that length and breadth component. The length is 10 and the breadth was 8. So for our full lawn, before we've taken out anything, it is pi times 4 times 4, which is 50.27, plus 10 times 8, which is 80. So if we just look at the full lawn, it is 150.27, or if we round it off, 3. Okay, so that's the bigger lawn. So now we can already see, okay, 258 is going to big. 82 might, 107 might, 101 or 121 might. Okay, so now we have that full area. Now we need to subtract these components. Okay, so we can see there are 6 circles. So those 6 circles, the formula is 6 times pi radius to the power of 2. And we will need to subtract that square. Okay, which is, the square is length times breadth. So that is what we need to subtract from this bigger area of the lawn. So it is 6 times pi radius. Again, we see that the diameter is a meter, so the radius is half a meter. And then let's just make 100% sure this is a square. So let's go back. They said to us, garden contains a square fish pond, so we know it's 2 by 2. Okay, so let's see how big this area is that we are subtracting from 150.3. So it is 0.5 to the power of 2. Then it is multiplied by pi, multiplied by 6. So that gives me 4.71. And if I plus 4 to that, I get 8.7. Let's see, is 130.3 minus 8.7. Will that give us one of the answers? So I get that the final answer is 121.6 square meters. And then if we look at our options, there is 121. 0.6 square meters. Okay, so what was important in this one is we first needed to work out the bigger area of the lawn. So that was semicircle plus a rectangle plus a semicircle. And then we needed to subtract all these pieces of beddings or flower beds and ponds from it. So there was 6 of these flower beds and 1 pond that we needed to subtract. And that would, in the end, then actually give us the number that we're looking for. Okay, so quite interesting, this one. And again, they do love asking the semicircle, and we now seen it in the perimeter and the area. So then naturally the third question is around volume. And now this time again, they used this to do the volume, but let's see what component of this. So look at the sketch, calculate the volume of a fish pond in liters if it is 1,5 meters deep. So volume is equal to length times breadth times height. So we have it as 2 times 2, and they tell us the height is 1,5. So let's quickly check that out. 2 times 2 times 1.5. So that is 6 meters or 6 cubic meters. Okay, and basically to transfer or to convert meters or cubic meters into liters, we need to multiply by 1,000. Okay, so, and that will then give us 6,000 liters that we need to put into the pond. So to convert from cubic meters into liters, we will need to multiply by 1,000. And just think about, if you just visually, if you look at a pond 2 meters by 2 meters, so 2 meters is quite long and 1.5 meter deep, one can already say, okay, 6 square meters, that can't be 6 liters, because 6 liters is, what is it? That is like 3 bottles of Coke. So even if you look at 2 meters, you can really say that is way too little. But then if you only say 2 times 2, you got the 4 liters or the 4,000 liters. If you say 2 times 1.3, you would have gotten the 3,000. But remember, volume is length, breadth, height. That gives us the 6,000 liters. That is the answer that we're looking for. So again, just important, those things that we need to remember. And they love to, this will be in the exam. So this is definitely something that you will get in the exam, is something around perimeter, something around area, and something around volume. That is just, it will be in the exam. Okay, another thing that will definitely be there in the exam will be a question around, you need to change the subject of a formula. What normally happens is that it is formulas that you are familiar with. So if you look at this formula, 2 times length plus width, that is basically the formula of a perimeter. So a perimeter of a rectangle would have been length, width, length, width. So that would have been actually the formula of a perimeter because it's 2 times that plus that. Okay, so it's normally formulas that you are familiar with. What they also like to sometimes do with the formulas is or they use the measurement formulas, or they use sometimes the financial calculation. So sometimes they would throw in the simple interest or compound interest or one of those and say, but change the subject instead of it being the future value, you need to get n or something like that. So just again, I will share the formula sheet with you guys as well, but you have a bit of those that actually you can see the changes in the formula. But let's look at this one. We want to change it that W is what we are working towards. So the W must be the subject. So the first thing we need to do is get rid of a 2 on both sides. The way we do that is divide by 2. So C over 2 will be equal to L plus W. Okay, so already now see it's C minus 2, so option 1 is not going to work. C divided by 2, so that might be C divided by 2. Okay, so no, that won't work. C divided by 2, that can work as well. Then the next step is to say, okay, we want to isolate that, so we need to get rid of the L. So we need to subtract on both sides with L. That will be ours. So let's C over 2, yes, but it's minus L, so that doesn't work. Okay, so there's C over 2 minus 2L. So then basically what we did was to say, okay, now we're putting everything over 2. So C over 2 is still that. But to make the minus L over 2, we need to say what divided by 2 gives you 1. It will be 2L divided by 2 will give you the L. So that is when the formula that we need to end up with. Okay, so this one is correct and this one. So what I would look at is look at your answers and then it's like, okay, let's see how far we need to simplify. So already I looked at options that I can delete. And then when I looked, okay, so that would have been, if it was minus L, that would have been fine as well. But they will not give you two answers that are the same. So they will not give you in the same answer set this option and this option because both of them are correct. So they will not give you a C over 2 minus L in the options and a C minus 2L over 2 because they are exactly the same thing. So they can't give this answer two times because then you can select both of them. Okay, but this was one of those, and again, they love asking the change the subject of a formula, but normally it is formulas that you know or have worked with before. Okay, another thing that you guys will get is where you need to work out the slope. Um, so they can give you a question where you need to work out only the slope, or they can give you a question where you need to work out the formula with a slope. So let's see what they ask us. Calculate the slope of a straight line which passes through this point. Okay, so automatically I can eliminate option 3 because that's the whole formula. That's not the slope. The slope is the number that is in front of the x. So I could already say option 3 is a no-go. Okay, so let's see the slope. So the slope we can work out as the change in y over the change in x. So if this is x1, y1, x2, y2, we can say, well, the change in y, so y2 minus y1, so it's 2 minus, 4 minus 2. Then the change in x, so it's x2, it's 3 minus 1. Okay, so 4 minus 2, so it is 4 plus 2 over 3 plus 1. Sure. Okay, so let's hope 6 over 4. So there can be 6 over 4, or there could be, if we have simplified it, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 6 3 times, 3 over 2. And that is option 2. Okay, so that is when you look at how to work out the slope, they only give us the 2 points. So by giving us the 2 points, we need to remember, okay, by calculating the slope, we need to go to what is the difference in y divided by the difference in x. So by that way, we can say, okay, y2 minus y1, so 4 minus 2, it's actually 4 plus 2, so at the top we've got 6, and then the difference in the x, so it's x2 minus x1, so it's 3 minus 1, so it's 3 plus 1, 3 plus 1 is 4, but then if we simplify it, it's 3 over 2, which will be option 2. Okay, so this again is one of the questions that we love to give in the exam as well. So there will always be a question around the slope. So they will always ask you to work out the slope. So again, one of those things that are important for you guys to remember. Okay, so then we go into the next one that I wanted to show you, And this is a bit of a financial maths, but this is more about firstly to work out total cost, fixed cost, variable cost. So let's look at the question. A company manufactures soccer balls. The company's daily fixed cost, so daily fixed cost or 18,000 rand. Then we say one soccer ball cost 500 rand to manufacture. So variable cost will be the 500 rand times how many soccer balls are manufactured. And when we say, okay, so that is your costing. When we say we sell a soccer ball for 800 rand, so then we've got the revenue component is 800 rand, and depending on how much we sell, so that's 800 times X. Then they ask us how much profit does the company make per day if 100 soccer balls are produced. Okay, so profit is equal to profit is equal to revenue minus see, I spelled it wrong, so let's just continue with that. Revenue minus cost, and in this instance revenue was 800x. Let's just quickly move this component and we can write it down. And then your total cost function was your fixed cost plus your variable cost. And so that our profit function will look like 800x minus 500x, which is 300x, minus the fixed cost of 18,000. And then they tell us, okay, so we're making 100 soccer balls. What will the profit be? So let's see if we can work that out. So 300 times 100, that is the profit. So that's 30,000 minus 18,000. So the profit that we're making is 12,000 when 100 soccer balls are manufactured and sold. So the profit is the 12,000. If you did not take off that fixed cost of 18,000, then our profit would have been that one. If we said that 18,000 was added to your revenue and not subtracted, we would have gotten the 48,000. So again, there are a few other ways to get to some of the other answers, which unfortunately is incorrect, but just again, how easy it is to nearly get to some of the other questions in this, and unfortunately making some errors. Okay, so I think it's quite important to just again make sure that that we are know how the fixed cost, the variable cost component that then gets you to total cost and the revenue works in this one. Okay, then we go and take that bit of financial maths of the costing a bit further into where we need to look at your bigger financial maths questions around future value, present values, monthly payments. So let's see what is in this question. So Joseph bought a townhouse in North Riding for 700,000. Okay, this is a few years ago. He paid deposit of 1,000 or 100,000. So we know then 700 minus the deposit is he's looking for a loan for the 600,000. Okay, so we know he's looking for a loan for the 600,000. So that is his present value at the moment. The term of the loan is 20 years. So N is equal to 20. And the interest rate is fixed at 7.75%. And they tell us monthly. So we know that the payments per year or the times per year, it's 12 because it is monthly. And then we need to calculate what is your monthly installment. Okay, so we need to calculate what is the monthly installment. Remember, because it's a loan, we know that at the end of our loan term, the loan will be paid off. So our future value would be equal to 1. Why did I say equal to 1? So your future value will be equal to 0 because you have paid off the loan. So we can do it via our financial calculator. So I would have said present value is equal to minus 600,000. I'm going to put in 0 future value just so that it clears any other work that I've done. We know we need to put in it 12 times per year for 20 years. So that is 240 periods. And then the interest rate is 7.75. So if I then work out my PMT, I get a value of 4925.69. Let's see if there is, so it's not 4925.69. So luckily our answer is there. What I also just quickly want to show is if you don't have a financial calculator and you can or have access to Excel. So let's quickly just show how we would do it on Excel. Again, I will share the Excel spreadsheet in our WhatsApp group. So I will do that for you guys so that you can also just have it. And then you can always just add the information or change the information. So let's quickly see. We need to get the payments per year. So if that is in, we will get the periods, then the interest rate. So it's the interest rate per year, but then also the interest rate per period. And we can add future value and we will get PMT. So present value was minus 600, sorry. Your payments per year was 12. Periods were 20 times 12. So let me do it. So that if you want to use it, you can then just change the numbers and it will work out. The interest rate they set was 7.75%. That interest rate per period was a bit different. Future value is 0 because it's a loan. So then we can use the PMT function within Excel where we look at the interest rate for the period. We look at all the number of periods, the 240, look at the present value, the future value, and then you will see that we get to exactly the same answer. So we will get to the answer that 925.69. So I will definitely share this with you on our WhatsApp group, that you also have the spreadsheet. So let me just do that. I will share it later tonight on the group, that if you want to use Excel in your calculations, you are allowed to. So you can again decide if you want to use your financial calculator, if you want to use Excel, or if you want to use the formula page. Okay, so then we go on to the next one with some of the previous information. So referred to Joseph's loan in question 22. How much will the townhouse cost Joseph in total over the 20 years, deposit included? Give the answer to the nearest rands. Okay, so what they basically want us now to work out is what's the total cost. So you have this loan, you paying off that amount over the 20 years. So what I would have said is, okay, we know it is 49, what was it, 4925.69. See, you will not hopefully get something like this in the current exam, because if you made a mistake here, this will automatically also be wrong. So they will not do that to you guys, because because it's multiple choice and it's online, they can't see your calculations. So they won't do that anymore, where one question will follow on the other one. But how much will the townhouse cost in total over 20 years? So he's paying 4,925 Rand per month. So over the 20 years, that will cost him why don't I get one of those? So let's see if I worked it out wrong. That would have, wait, I did something wrong here. Oh, okay, so what I worked out, wait, I made a mistake. I said, so 4925.69 times 240 is 11,82166. Okay, so that was how much he paid on the home loan, how much he paid back. Then remember there was a deposit of 100,000. So the deposit plus how much he paid back will give you the total amount on how much in total he paid. So that is 1282166. 1282166, which is option 1. But again, they will not do this anymore with you guys, because if you had this wrong, you will have question 23 wrong as well. And um, it's not like when it was pre-COVID, they would have seen what your answer was in question 22 and they could have worked with your answer. So it's not like that at all anymore. So they will not do that. But just how it is done is basically to say that monthly payment that you're making it for 240 payments. So for 20 years on a monthly basis, you're paying back. So that total amount of what you've paid back is for 1.1 million. And then the component of your deposit is the other 100,000. So what you basically in total have paid for the house is 1.28 million, which is option 1. Okay, so also be very careful. There is your answer without the deposit. Um, so just be very careful that you don't pick that one, because they also say deposit included. So just again be very careful not to do that. Okay. Okay, so the other thing that you will pick up is if you set 4925 and you set times 20 because of a 20 years, and you forgot about that is monthly, you will get a number of 98513, 98 or 98514 actually. And if you add the deposit of 100,000, you will get option 3. So again, those small things that one can make an error because you say, well, there's my payment, I do it for 20 years because they tell us 20 years. So it's not that you randomly got to the 20. They basically told you it's 20 years. So you might forget that it is monthly payments and just use the 20 years, and make that mistake, and then you will get a different answer. So again, just be very careful with these questions, how they phrase it, that they don't try to catch you out. Okay, and then there is one more question around this. But again, now remember, all the other things should now have been correct. So once again, they will not ask this of you from 2 or 3 other questions. if I ask you something about amortization, it will be a question that is separate to um, the other sets of information. Otherwise, it is unfair to you guys to now suddenly, um, because to have three questions linked to one another, it and you make a mistake in the first one, then the second and the third one will be wrong, and that is unfair to you guys. So I won't do that. Okay, so let's just look at the question. Consider for amortization of Joseph's loan in question 22, what will the outstanding balance on the loan be after 12 years of minimum payments have been made? Okay, so what will be outstanding? Okay, so please let me know in the chat what your financial calculators, if you are using any financial calculators, so that I can share with you guys some of the not study guides, some of the how-tos of that financial calculator, so that you can see how to work out the amortization, because it's different for the different calculators. So what I normally do, so let's quickly get into Excel. Where is the there was always a function in Excel. Where have it gone? There was always a amortization function. Oi, so that is not there anymore. Okay, I will check what it is called now, but please for this one, send me your details, and also the guys that are watching the recording, on our WhatsApp group, even send the details of your financial calculators, so that I can just, or if I write it out, or if I share then some of the booklets of how to do it, because what we need to do is put in the numbers for amortization after 12 years to get, so we will put in all these information of a 700,000, or rather the 600,000, the 12 times per year, 20 years, the 7,75, and then on my HP calculator, which is different to the Casios and the Sharps, there is an amortization button. On the HP, it is called amort. And then if I work with that, I put in the further details, that will give me this answer. So, but it is different for the different financial calculators. So please let me know, or in this chat or on the WhatsApp group, what your financial calculators are, so that I can just share the different steps. But it's easier to share that when written out than nearly speaking on it. So what I will do is I will write this question out for you guys with all the steps, so that you know how to use the calculator for that. Okay, so then this was taken from last semester, one of the questions. So, and they ask us which expression is not equal to. So this is always one of the tricky ones because we can make that simpler. So let me just write it out first how it is. So this is the original view. I think it is a bit blurry and weird shaped. So this was the original view. Okay, so if we simplify this, we can say, okay, let's quickly check what's happening at the top, what's happening at the bottom. So we can take 3 away, that will disappear, but what, and let's quickly use different colors. So if that, we take that away, what will be left at the bottom is a to the power of 2. We can do the same with the b's. Take the 5 away, take 5 away from 9. What is left at the bottom is b to the power of 4. Okay, so still nothing that looks similar to that at all, but this now is equal to 1 over b to the power of 4, a to the power of 2, and that is square root. Okay, so then we need to square root it. So the 1 square root will stay the same. B to the power of 2, the square root of that is b to the power, b to the power of 4. The square root of that is b to the power of 2. And a to the power of 2, the square root of that is a. So let's look at, is there sum of 1 over b to the power of 2a. So that is right, but we're looking for the one that it's not. Okay, so then we have this as one of the answers. So let's see if we can rewrite it a bit. Okay, so I don't want a fraction, so if I take everything to the top, the a to the top, then it will be a minus 1. The b to the top, it will be b minus 2. So let's see, a minus 1, b minus 2. So that's also correct. So still not the one that we're looking for. Ugh. Okay, so then the other way I can simplify that to say, let's take out the minus. Let's take out a minus 1. So what's left is positive a, positive b to the power of 1, power of 2. Okay, so that is also correct. So it's one that I need to take away. And then that one, if it was to a power of a half, then that would have been, but if we simplify option 3, that will look like this. AB to the power of a half, which we can see is none of these, that is correct. So that is your incorrect one that we have, which is not equal to that answer. This is a bit, it's not tricky, but it's very time consuming because you nearly need to work through all four of those answers to see if it is the same as what is the original. So yeah, again, it is really, in a sense, I call it time consuming and the time waste, because there's not an easy way nearly to just identify which one is not the right one. So again, you guys are your exam, you're writing against time. So something like this can be more an issue because of the time that it takes to work it out than anything else. So just be wary that there might be these questions that can take you a lot of time in the exam as well. It's not that it's always that difficult, but it is just time consuming. Okay, so the last two questions for the night. So this one again, like I said previously, they love asking something about the semicircle. We need to work out the perimeter again. So we have a perimeter, that length we have, that length we have, so that's not the issue. That length we have, that length we have. So if we add all of them together, it's great. We will get to the answer, but then we need to work out what is that perimeter. And that's not one that is always that easy, but we can see that is a semicircle. So to work out the perimeter of a circle is 2 pi radius. So to work out the perimeter of a semicircle is 2 pi radius divided by 2. Okay, so we can work out what that perimeter is. We see that if that is 18, the radius is half of that. So the radius will be 9. So we can say the perimeter of a semicircle is pi times radius, which is pi times 9. Okay, so then we have all the numbers. We've got the pi times 9, which if I work it out on my calculator is 28.8. Okay, so that is 28.3. So 28.3 plus the 12 plus 16.1 plus 8.1 plus 12 again will give us then a total answer of 76.5. Okay, so obviously in the exam, it's always multiple choice. So there would have been 4 options, and then the one that we would have selected is the 76.5. I think I have deleted the options when I created this slide. Okay, so that is again measurement. They love asking this, and they will always ask, like I previously said, in your exam, you will get a question on perimeter, you will get a question on area, you will get a question on volume, and that volume is mostly that you need to convert the cubic into the volume of liters or something like that. Okay, then the last one of the evening. So, and I'm going to show you just two ways of working this out. So, the cost of renting a two-bedroom flat in Hatfield increased from 5.4 to 6.9 over 3 years. Calculate the average annual rate of increase of renting a two-bedroom flat. Okay, so we've got, and we call this average annual rate is CAGR, so average annual rate. Um, and they tell us how the formula works. It's the end value. So we know it's 6900 divided by the beginning value. That we say, and it's interesting, there should have been brackets to the power of 1 over n, which is 3 years minus 1. And that is to work out the interest. So 6900 divided by 5400, that gives me 1,27. So if I put that to the power of 1 over 3, I get 1,085 minus 1 would give me the answer of 8.51%, okay, which is option A. But also how you might be able to work it out is to say, if you have a financial calculator, the present value is 5,400. The future value is 6,900. There is happening 1 times a year for 3 years. So that will give us basically the time span that it goes from 5.4 to 6.9 in 3 years' time. And then if you press the interest rate button, you will also get the 8,51. So you could have said present value is equal to minus 5,400. Future value is equal to 6,900. We do it for 3 years. And then if you press your interest rate button, you will also get 8,51. So that is another way that you could have done it if you have, again, the financial calculator to assist you with that. So yeah, so once again, please, on the WhatsApp chat or in this chat, let me know what calculators you are using, if you are using any, that I can just share notes on how to work out amortization on your calculator. So if you get a question like that, you are prepared to do that. Okay, so again, thanks for joining. We will continue again on Friday. So on Friday, we will just look at session 4, and like we did tonight, we will just cover a lot of questions that was in previous exam papers, previous assignments. So we will just basically continue up until you write exam by just going through previous